We got snow in the forecast. Let me show you how to put a snow blade on. Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to install a snow blade onto a Cub Cadet tractor. Made a video like this once before, many years ago, and it's kind of all over the place with this. So we're going to get right down to business on this thing and show you what needs to get done. So what I got here is a 54-inch Cub Cadet blade. It's hydraulic angle. So from the seat you can adjust the angle of the blade with the hydraulic cylinder and the auxiliary ports on the front end. If it's a manual blade, it'll just have a little pull tab there, and then you can manually push it. So I want to take a second and briefly explain the differences in we'll call it the subframe. So the one I'll be installing is a wide frame mount, and the way you can tell it's a wide frame is if you follow your frame rails, the front kind of widens out a little bit. That's why I call it a wide frame. And narrow frames, the frame rails are straight the whole way down. So you can see I got this bump out. It's rather slight, but it's there. So there's two types of wide frame mounts. Both you can tell by the way they hook up in the back. They start off straight and they come up. So the only difference between the two are you have these tabs, these mounting tabs facing that way, or they kind of come out and angle inwards. That's the only difference. They both work for wide frames. This is a early wide frame mount, which I prefer better. They stay in better, so that's what I'll be using. The other ones you're going to run into are narrow frame mounts. So these ones are straight the whole way. So this is one that would be on like a 70 or 100 or into the 102, 122 series before the quick attach came out. And the quick attach would have longer tabs here, and it would have a solid pin up in the front instead of bolts. So to get your plow hooked up, first you want to have it laying on the ground, like so, with your tractor lined up. I'm going to roll the tractor forward so the front is lined up to those pins there. Once you get it about close up there, I'm going to show you what needs to get done underneath here. So underneath the tractor here, you need to look for, on this one, the fender mount, which is this thick rod that goes across the frame rails. So that is where these hooks are going to go onto. So all you do for that is you're going to flip that up and then roll your tractor forward until those hook in. They get the long tab so they stay on a little bit better. So this next part's a little challenging because you have to pull the frame forward, but not too far where it comes off that back mount that I just showed you, but you have to be able to get it up into the jaws for the quick attach. So I used to get next to it. You want to kind of cradle the underneath side of the white part and bring this up. Carefully kind of just wiggle it forward. Get it held up there, then you gotta put your quick attach bar down. It should slide in. It's a little easier with two people, but I'm myself, so gotta make it work. So you can see now those pins are locked into the jaws. You can actually back stick here. There. So those pins are now locked by the jaws on both sides. So that gets your plow mounted, but you still have to be able to lift the plow. So that's where your lift rod comes in here. So you bring that around And for wide frames, you're going to have a existing plow hookup on here. So with a hydraulic lift tractor, you should have something along the lines of this. Got 2 different holes for 2 different height adjustments for the plow. If you have manual lifts, such as this 129, you're going to have a casting piece with a hole in it with a manual handle. And then on a narrow frame, such as this 124, there's this extra bracket that gets bolted on there, and then you again get 2 different holes to mount to. And lastly, if you have a hydraulic pump on a narrow frame, such as this 104, you're going to have a bracket just like the one out there, but you got to trim it down a little bit so it can bolt up to the hydraulic lift rock shaft. So back to here, I usually use this second down hole. As you can tell, it's a little bit wallowed out. So it's as simple as getting the pin. Always use a washer or your pin gets mutilated. And simply get your lift rod in the hole. I could have gone down a little bit more. Get a washer up on there, and then your pin. So that gets you lifting and lowering. Now for this model, since I have the power angle plow, I need to hook up the hydraulic hoses into the front auxiliary ports. Now first things first, you gotta take the caps off, push in, pull them out. They're collared like an air hose. So you always get these ones mixed up. Let's see, that one's the bottom. We'll call that one the top. So those are hooked up now. The only difference is it's just going to go a different way. I like to set it up as such that the hydraulic levers are on the left side of the tractor. So when I push the lever forward, the blade angles to the right, so that blade goes away. And when you pull it back to you, the blade comes towards you on the left side. Just makes it a little easier on the mind. So with all that, let's fire it up, make sure everything all works here. Lifting up. Have a hydraulic hose backwards, but we'll swap those hoses, no biggie. So I got ag tires on this tractor. So in some conditions they do work, if it's just a regular snow without ice or anything. If this is your first time plowing, I'd like to make a couple recommendations to you. So I usually opt for a turf tire, a lawn tire, and put tire chains on it. They seem to work quite a bit better than just the regular rubber. I feel you get icy and you lose traction. So my next thing is going to be putting wheel weights on, whether they're the correct IH weights or any type of weight that'll fit a 12-inch rim. Weight is weight. I usually put about 50 pounds on this one. It's got a little bit heavier. The fuel tank's right on the back, plus your operator. So you get a fair amount of weight right on the rear tires. As for the fronts, having some sort of tread is always a benefit. These are also ag tires. You can also get a snow tire tread for a snowblower. Those work. They're also softer rubber, so it helps make better ground contact when it's cold. And also rib tires do pretty good. These are V61s, 5 rib tire. They do pretty good in the snow as well. And on this one, this is my 782D. We'll be putting a snowblower on it, so that'll be next up to show you guys. One last thing, if you do tire chains like this, turf tire with the chains, I recommend 2 link chains. That means there's a cross link every 2 links across the outer band. And one last thing is, use zip ties to secure your latches and use bungees to keep them tight. You don't want to get these things flying while you're driving. They'll hook a fender, pull it in, and your fenders are destroyed. So, just a couple tips for you guys. So that's all I got on how to put a snowplow on. They're pretty simple, not too tricky. So if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, definitely consider subscribing. And happy plowing. See you in the next one.